Percent of a quantity, Chapter 6, Lesson 3. So to find percent of a quantity is like saying what percent of a number of something. So what percent of chairs had backs on them. And we've been working with numbers that we could convert to fractions of over 100, but today you're going to see questions where we can't convert them over to 100. So what is 8% of 150? So what we're going to do in this one, I'm going to teach you two ways to do it. As always, you pick whichever one you'd like to do. So here, the first one's with a model, 8% of 150. So first, 100% equals 150. So first thing to do is find what 1% is. So you're going to divide by 100. You're going to divide your whole by 100. And you'll see that 1.5 is what 1% is. And then to find what 8% is, you just simply multiply 8 by 1.5. And that answer would be 12. In method 2, you're just using fractions. So to do 8% of 150, you're doing 8 over 100 times 150, which again, you're multiplying straight across. So if you're doing 8 times 150, they skip the work here, and I just want to show it to you. You would get 1,200, and that would be over 100. And then they simply canceled out the zeros, and it was 12 over 1, which simplifies all the way down to 12. So again, whichever method you like to use is up to you. We're going to practice a couple more, but stick with what method works easier for you. All right, so in number 1, what is 4% of 250? So I'll show you method 1 and method 2. First, we're going to find what 1% of 250 would be by doing 250 divided by 100. And that would be a decimal of 2.5. So now to find what 4% would be, I'm going to multiply 2.5 times 4, and that would give me a value of 10. We want to do method 2 the fraction way. I would write 4 out of 100, because it's 4%, times 250, which would equal 1,000 over 100. And as you all know, I have some zeros I can cancel out, so that's 10 over 1. So either way, I'm getting the same answer. Let's do number 2 together. 12% of 550. So if 550 is the whole, I'm going to divide it by 100 to figure out what 1% is, and I would get 5.5. So to figure out what 12% is, I would multiply 12 by 5.5. And that actually equals 66. So 12% of 550 is 66 kilograms. So if I wanted to do the fraction way, I would do 12 over 100 times 550. 12 times 550 is 6,600 over 100. And I cancel those out, and that would leave me again with 66. I think personally, I prefer method 2, but again, you choose what works for you. Okay, so I'd like you to try number 3 through 6 on your own. Try both methods. So in number 3 and number 4, try method 1. And then number 5 and number 6, try method 2. And then you should be able to decide which one you like better. But when you're finished, come back and check your work. I'll have the answers here waiting for you. So 315 is the answer for number 3. For number 4, the answer is 414, and they're talking about money, so we want to label dollars. For number 5, 82% of 450 is 369. And for number 6, we get 3,570 feet. Just want you to notice for number 4 and 6, because our percentages were over 100, that's why our answers are more than the original amount. All right, this next section, you're going to calculate the whole given a percent. So they're telling us that we don't know what the total amount is, and we're trying to find out. So in this example, it says Ray spent 20% of his savings to buy a $1,500 computer. So that means that 20% is the $1,500. How much savings did he have before he bought the computer? Or essentially, what was 100%? So the first thing you want to do is find what 1% is. So you're going to divide the amount by the percentage. So in this case, 1,500 divided by 20, and you'd get $75. And to find out what 100 is, you're going to multiply 100 times 75 and get 7,500. So first you're dividing and then multiply. All right, number 7, at a movie theater, 12% of the people were children and the rest were adults. There were 36 more children, or there were 36 children. How many people were at the movie theater? So the information they give us is 12% equals 36. So what we're going to do is divide to find out how much 1% is. So I'm taking the number they gave us, 36, divided by 12, and I get 3 people. So 1% equals 3. So in order to find what 100% is, I multiply 100 by 3. And that tells me there were 300 people total. All right, number 8, Jenny made 520 walnut biscuits. This is 40% of the total number of biscuits. How many biscuits did she make in all? So again, 40% is 520. So to figure out what 1% is, you need to do division. 520 divided by 40. Make it a long division problem if it's not a basic fact like I do. 40 goes into 52 once. That's a 1, not a 7. Okay, and now 40 goes into 120 3 times. I'm left at 0, so I'm done. So 1% is 13 biscuits. So to figure out what 100% is, I'm doing 100 times 13. Which remember, when we're multiplying by 100, we're simply adding on 2 zeros. So Jenny made 1,300 biscuits in all. Okay, please give number 9 and 10 a try on your own and come back and check your answers once you think you've gotten them correct. All right, so for number 9, the final answer you should have gotten would have been 500 eggs. And for number 10, you should have gotten 600 stamps. All right, this is just kind of another way of doing this. So again, we are given a percent of a number, and then we want to find the whole. So we're basically doing the same thing, but we're grouping it into one problem. So it says 15% of a number is 180. So we're doing that same thing to find out 1%, 180 divided by 15, and then we're multiplying it by 100. So they're doing it all in one step here. And they would have gotten 18,000 divided by 15. And with long division, you'll see that the answer of 18,000 divided by 15 is going to end up being 1,200, but I'll just show it to you here. And because the rest are zeros, I can just bring them up. So that's 1,200. So this is the same as the last way we did it. We're just compiling it into one long math problem with fractions. All right, so 40% of 180. To figure out 1%, it's 180 over 40. So then we would do 100 times 180 over 40, which would be, again, 18,000 over 40. And to figure out that final percentage, we need to do the long division. 40 doesn't go into 18, but it does go into 180 4 times. I get 160. Subtract, bring down my 0. 40 goes into 205 times. And because that's exactly 200, I just need to bring up my last 0. So 450 is the answer there. All right, for number 12, 75 of 230. So I'm going to do 230 divided by 75. And then include that multiplying by 100. So I have 23,000 over 75. So I need to perform long division just to figure out what that would be. So 75 doesn't go into 2. It certainly doesn't go into 23. But 75 does go into 233 times. And it's 225. I subtract. I'm left with 5. I bring down 50. 75 can't go into 50, so I put a space filler of 0. 75 then can go into 500 6 times. And 75 times 6 is 450. And then I subtract and have a 50. I add a decimal and a 0, bring it down. I see right now that I'm going to keep getting that 6, so it's 3.06 repeating. So the answer would be 3.06 or 306.6 repeating.